I forgot to tell you something about Margaret Spencer.
Oh, what's that?
She's dead.
Oh, she's not.
No, she's not.
She's not?
No, she's alive.
Then why did you say that?
Malice, I'm a liar. I do it the whole time. I can't help it.
Are you telling me that everything you've ever said is a lie?
Everything I've ever told you has been a lie, including that.
Including what?
That everything I've ever told you has been a lie. That's not true.
I don't know what to believe.
Not me, Stanley. Believe me.
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to the Invasion of the Remake podcast. I'm your sniffly, flued up host.
Recovering.
I am over the hump. I had to postpone the recording last week on this episode because there was no way.
It's funny, you can tell that Jay works in a public setting because he's the only one of us who really gets sick. Like, have you noticed that? Jay's the one who's always like, he's stuffed.
No, I'm the only one who announces he's sick.
Well, true, but I mean, also, I think me and Jay, when we are in public transit is what I think does it. It's not the public setting. Transit is the outbreak monkey of everything. You will get sick if you take transit.
Yeah. Well, and I'm in a comic book store, and I get kids coming through,
and you're touching cash and
touching cash and all sorts of
cash
things.
Is
so
filthy,
and so are children.
Yes, I'm not criticizing you, Jay. Just saying I know. As you were saying, I'm stuffed up. I'm like, poor Jay has to say that a lot. It seems like it.
Well,
that was my New Year's gift. Happy New Year! You're sick as a fucking dog.
So you didn't answer my question. Was it one of those flus where you lose 10 pounds? Because I mean,
no,
I'll
didn't lose 10 pounds. I've lost a little bit though.
Nice.
Because when I get sick, I don't want to eat.
No,
that's just me.
It's the only diet that works.
It does work.
Yeah. No, it was funny when I was texting you about this episode, and you just even in text you sounded miserable. I felt so bad for you.
That's because you text like a 16-year-old girl. I'm like, leave me alone. Why does it take 5 things to say one thing?
I don't know if it's a 16-year-old girl. It's just an emo kid. You're like some 16-year-old goth who just feels so misunderstood.
I'm just more short-tempered when I'm sick.
Yeah.
Well,
like, shut up, Sam.
Everybody is. You're like, I could be dying, and you want to know something stupid? No.
Hey, I actually checked on his welfare. I actually did check his welfare.
He did.
I get.
Yeah, you got meds? You okay?
Yeah,
I asked as well, and I was
both of you
told
offered.
no.
I'm like, stay away. What is wrong with you people?
Oh, I wasn't coming in. I was going to drop them off at the doorstep and go, okay, they're here. There's no fucking way I'm coming in here when you're sick like that.
Well, it shows that, like, during a zombie apocalypse, we care. We'd be like, God, dude, we got to find you.
I was running low, and I had already stepped out by that point. I'm like, I had to do a little running around anyway. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to spread this flu and
to complete strangers. We're okay with that.
That's fine. Yeah. And I'm going to spread it to the world for a few minutes and then come back and die and cry. And I was sitting in my heated massage chair, freezing my ass off.
Oh, that sounds like something the antagonist in both of our movies would do.
I know. Like, I've got tea here, I've got my chair, and it's warm, and I am cold as a motherfucker. Yeah. I'm like, what the hell? Why am I so cold? Well, it's because my normal setting of where my internal thermometer should be is a lot higher than it would be normally. That's why I'm cold.
Yeah.
That's why
it's funny.
Although
I have a fever, but I'm cold.
Although what can also happen is the signals get all messed up, and you are actually burning up, but you feel like you're cold. Because I've had that, and that can be dangerous because you could die.
Yeah, being cold and sweaty at the same time. Yes.
I was taking my temperature.
Yeah, that's good.
2 times a day, and I never got above 101, so fever-wise. So as far as fevers goes, it wasn't as bad as it felt. But yeah, when it broke, then I was just like sweating like crazy.
Wow.
It was the flu that kept on giving, because it was like this Russian roulette of symptoms. I'm like, what is it going to be today? Is it going to be a searing headache? Yeah.
You know what? It is like the movies that we just watched. You think you're expecting something and it doesn't turn out the way you thought.
True. We're talking about Bedazzled today.
Yeah, well, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. It's been a while, so let's see. Maybe we should talk about a movie or something.
We can segue anything.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because we pre-recorded a lot of episodes prior to the holidays, but this is actually the first recording of 2018.
Yes.
For us.
Yeah. And we're already halfway through January.
I know. we so had it together, and now I only got one episode. It's sitting in the wings now.
We'll claw it back.
I liked having that nice big lead, and it's all gone now.
Well, I mean, that was the point, though, is for things such as this where we have to miss a week because...
Yeah, well, and we just wanted time off for Christmas. So.
Yeah, we did the Christmas ones because that was the point.
Yeah. So we hope everybody had a good Christmas. But you listen to this. It's the end of January. Shut the fuck up about Christmas.
This is the first time we've seen each other since Christmas. So there you go.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah, we're just getting back into the swing of things.
So we're going to be talking about Bedazzled today from 1967. That's right, folks. I had talked to somebody earlier this week, told them we were recording this episode, and the 2000 one's the only one most people know exists. But
which I find weird.
It is weird
because I knew about the old one.
Well, I remember when the remake came out, I knew it was a remake.
I do understand it might not have had as big of a release in the US as it did in the UK, because the original one is a UK release. Although, at a budget of only $600,000, it did $1.5 million in US and Canada alone.
So
for 1967. But that was just U.S. and Canada, not even for their domestic of the U.K. I don't even know what the normal take was in the U.K. was. So, I mean, I would say that's a fairly successful low-budget film for the time.
Well, when you consider the stars and writers, they already had a following in North America.
On television.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I could see how it would have done moderately well in the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah, this was their first, I think, feature together.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, 67. We're talking like there's like a big boom in like British film, and people were kind of becoming British cinephiles.
We haven't told them who their stars and writers were.
No.
Yes.
Well, the screenplay and story is by Dudley Moore and Peter Cook, and a lot of things from this film were taken from some of their sketch comedy ventures on television, which I would read about later, and really explains why the film feels the way it does. Because even when I'm watching it, I'm like, this feels like a bunch of sketches with a bridge on it to kind of bridge it all together, which
as
is
does
great,
the remake,
which is great. I don't feel that it's
not as much, but it's definitely that has that same tone.
There's a bit of like, this is something I think Monty Python would have put together.
And in some ways, the remake, that like the bridges are essentially kind of all the same because you have the same characters. Yeah. But in the original, the bridges are also sketches in themselves because there are different characters.
Yeah, where you have you have Dudley Moore and Peter Cook playing different characters within these realities created by the devil.
But also
for those 7 wishes, and that's why each one of those things feel kind of sketches, because they're all characters within these dreams. Well, I guess they're still wish sequences. Yeah, we'll call them wish sequences.
But in between, you also have like lust and envy.
Oh, sure,
and all the other ones with Dudley Moore when Peter Cook isn't really present. So those are also
very sketchy. Yes,
sketchy.
Yeah. They're sketch moments, and I think the film's it's entertaining to watch. Like I've always been harsh on comedies. Like I'm a very harsh judge on comedy. It takes me a lot to really laugh out loud, and I can't say I did this time, but I certainly appreciated the writing on the first one because the dialogue is so witty and so snappy.
It is very snappy.
I just like listening to it because there's even a tempo to it that I really appreciated.
Yeah. Well, when you get a comedy duo like Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, who've been working together for so long, right? And obviously have a chemistry, you're going to get that really great dialogue and snappy, witty kind of stuff happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sort of feels like a relationship already.
Yes. And how young did they look, eh?
I know.
Oh,
right?
God. Especially Dudley Moore,
Yeah.
who just looked like a child. Because last time we talked about Dudley Moore was on the Santa Claus episode.
Yeah.
And that was getting near the end of his career.
He was much older then.
Yes. And that was a long time ago, too.
And really, eventually we'll probably talk about Dudley Moore again, won't we?
Oh, we got
Yeah.
lots of more Dudley Moore remakes to
Yeah.
talk about, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Most specifically, Arthur.
That was the one I was kind of hinting at, but didn't want to say out loud.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Someday we'll get there. They brought in director Stanley Donen, which is crazy in and of itself. If that name doesn't sound familiar, he directed Saturn III, Blame It on Rio, Charade, and fucking Singing in the Rain.
Whoa.
Right? Like, probably the best musical on the planet.
Very good.
Yeah, and you know what? You
I
can
like
kind of
Charade,
see
too.
it when you think about it. Knowing that, I didn't know that while I was watching it, but I can see it when I'm watching this movie. When I'm watching the original one, I can see that influence in it. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
The set pieces and the way it's shot.
Yeah, and he turned down directing Hello, Dolly to do this movie. Which, in hindsight...
I liked it.
I did too. I'm not
There's musical
knocking
beats
this.
in it as well. But when you talk about like sketches and things sort of being broken up, a musical director gets that because that's what musicals are. Is the action semi stops for a song and then starts again.
Yeah, this one may not be as remembered as something like Hello, Dolly, but it's certainly well liked. It's got a 7.0 rating on IMDb and 82% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know what most of that means, but yeah. And there was a 74% with the popcorn bucket. I guess that's the audience rating.
Movie Metacritic?
So the critics liked it better than the audience did, but
Well, I can see that because unless you're really analytical about film, there are things about the
like me.
Yeah, and well, I think all three of us to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But there's elements about the first one that don't stand up, so a younger audience isn't going to appreciate it as much.
And there's a lot of
would.
Britishism in there as well.
There is, yeah, and it's got that really great British innuendo about it, about the sexuality and stuff like that.
Very carry on in certain points.
Yeah, so it's not blatantly, really, really blatant. It's little subtle jokes like, "Oh, something's come up."
Yeah.
Right.
What about that great car they get into at the opening, and they open up the front of the car and step in? I'm like, what is this weird chicklet car where the door is the front of the car?
Oh, yeah. There was some odd stuff.
Like
the
there,
60s.
it is so booming British 60s, like that pop 60s.
Very mod.
You would think, yeah, that you would, yeah, totally mod. You would think very Austin Powers-esque, and it's all over this movie.
Which I think would be I think Austin Powers took a lot of inspiration from this movie as well.
Sure,
In a lot of ways, yeah.
yeah. Because, yeah, you think mod movies, this is definitely one of them. Yeah, so this movie starred Peter Cook, Dudley Moore, of course, Eleanor Braun, which was Margaret's love interest, Raquel Welch as Lillian Lust. Now, she is all over the advertising and posters for this film, mostly in her bikini that she's in a little bit later on, her lingerie. And she's only in this movie for 7 minutes.
I was about to say like a liberal 5 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and it really does inform a lot of the choices made in the remake.
Although that could explain the U.S. and Canada grows because they're like, Raquel Welch, let's watch this movie.
Yeah. Some dude named Alba. Alba. They only had one name, played Vanity. So yeah, most of the other people in here are the Sins that work for the devil, a.k.a. George Spigot.
Yeah.
George Spigot, also another old character from one of their sketch shows. Robert Russell was Anger. Barry Humphries was Envy. Parnell McGarry was Gluttony. Danielle Noel was Avarice. Howard Gorey was Sloth, and Michael Bates was Inspector Clark, and Valentine Dial was the voice of God.
Barry Humphries still does a lot of stuff. When I saw that name, I was like, Barry Humphries.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who Barry Humphries is, so.
Now, this was
I think these panel shows, I could have them mixed with somebody else, but I'm pretty sure.
This was remade in 2000 with screenplay and directed by Harold Ramis. If that name doesn't sound familiar, get the fuck out of my show. Just go away, turn us off, leave me alone. You're unworthy of my voice.
Yeah, get your head back in the sand.
You know how the first movie was blasphemous? To us, not knowing who Harold Ramis is blasphemous.
Yes. Egon from the Ghostbusters directed this movie. Screenplay was also co-written by Larry Gelbart, who wrote MASH and Tootsie, and Peter Tolan, who wrote Analyze This. The the remake had a huge budget. The original, $600,000. The remake in year 2000 was $48 million. It had an opening weekend in the U.S. of $13.1 million. It grossed 37.8-ish million in the U.S. and did a worldwide box office of 90.3. So it did wind up making its money back, but not a success for sure, because I bet you that barely covers marketing.
Well, you're saying 30?
It was 48 million.
48. Oh, okay, sorry, I got confused.
Yeah, it was 48 million, and I got to tell you, the IMDb wasn't as kind at 6.0 out of 10, 49% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 42% for audience score. So, didn't fare as well as the original in all accounts.
And there's good reason for that. There are elements about it that are really nice. There's some things about it that I really liked, particularly the end. I actually liked the end to a certain extent better than I did the original.
The original one's definitely hokey.
Yes. So I like the way they changed the end up. That's about the only part of the movie that I liked better. The sketch bits in between were the wishes. They relied too heavily on special effects and makeup. It was painful.
We'll get more into that as we move along. But this movie starred Brendan Fraser, who's certainly hot during the 90s and early 2000s. Elizabeth Hurley, who's still fairly fresh as an actress, but when you see visually, certainly inspired by Raquel Welch's look.
And, absolutely, yes.
I mean, boy, both of them. Something. Frances O'Connor was love interest of Allison. Miriam Shore was Carol. Orlando Jones is always a pleasure to see on screen, and I think didn't get enough screen time, to be honest. In fact, he feels a little bit lost sometimes in this movie.
Well, this is pretty early in his career, I think.
Yeah. This was until Mad TV time. I think he was still trying to do stuff.
Yeah. Paul Adelstein was Bob, Toby Huss was Jerry, and Gabriel Cassius was Elliot's cellmate, a.k.a. God. Spoiler.
Yeah, and actually, I can't remember. I think it's Toby Huss who's one of the guys in this, like who's in a lot of the sketches. He was the cult leader in The Invitation that we watched in the horror episode, the Days of Horror.
There we go.
So,
that you guys watched. I didn't watch that one.
It's very good. So, but yeah, he's gone into like a lot more dramatic roles. So one of these guys, Orlando Jones, American Gods, he's doing.
Yeah.
People are doing good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny
actually. The only one that's not doing that great right now is Brendan Fraser.
And actually, he's already starting to experience a resurgence as well. Because I did some research. Yeah, he's got a regular TV series now, so he's doing all right. He's not doing as well as he was, but
that's all right. A lot of people are like big stars are moving into television. Yeah. It's not a demotion like it used to be.
No,
but there was a dry spell for poor Brendan there, and it was just too bad because he is talented. There's no question he is talented, and it really kind of associates him with sort of the slapsticky comedy, which he tried really hard to break free on.
Yeah, this one certainly didn't do him any favors. No. He was, I mean, he wasn't just playing a nebbish guy yearning for the girl. I mean, he was just wholly unlikable.
There was a lot of creepy going on.
There was a lot of creepy going on, yeah.
What's interesting is that's part of what he's learning, like sort of the whole thing. He doesn't end up as creepy because he realizes
going through 7 lives there, or those 7 wishes, changes him as a person.
It does in both characters, right?
Yeah, and it does. Yeah, with the Dudley Moore version of Stanley Moon, He's more quiet,
He's
and he's
shy and
very
insecure.
shy and insecure. He can't talk to the girl he's working with in this diner. This leads him into a massive depression, and probably the darkest point of this whole movie is when he's trying to commit suicide at the beginning of it.
Unsuccessfully.
Yes, unsuccessfully.
But
Which also speaks to his character, right? Is
Yeah.
He can't even do this right.
Yeah. But there's part of it too where I don't know, some of it sort of it's a poor me attitude, but the world is at fault and not himself in any way sometimes, and I don't think that's wholly true. Like he's partly responsible for how things have been going, and he just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, no,
And
he's-
that's part of his lesson.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's what he learns from the devil. The devil's teaching him that every time that the devil messes with a wish.
See, and that's the interesting thing about both these movies is if only people could go through these different lives to I guess it's supposed to be like karma in the end. You get through these lives to learn the lessons to be a better person. You can't do it the first time. You need to know what you ask for isn't necessarily what you want or need.
Yeah. And you know what I'm going to wish for right now?
A trailer?
Ooh.
I'm going to wish for the trailer. Let's see if we can make that happen.
But can I be someone who women yearn after and crave for and lust after?
I can just see you, Stanley, standing there in your skin-tight pants, the music pounding, the women screaming, Margaret lusting, the drums throbbing out with their incessant animal beat. Let me have it!
Ladies and gentlemen, we regret to announce that Mr. Stanley Donen, producer-director of such esteemed motion pictures as Charade, Arabesque, and Two for the Road, has sold his soul to these two talented men to make what one critic calls the funniest picture I've seen in ages.
Sex is a terribly thorny subject, isn't it?
I think we should get down to basic elements.
Like feeling things. Do you like it in bed?
Yes.
Good. So do I.
This is Stanley Moon. He's selling me his soul.
If you were Stanley Moon, would you sell your soul for Margaret Spencer?
One cheeseburger, one shanty, one portion French fries.
To the devil you would.
I'm the haunted one. The devil. Let me give you my card.
And what a dirty, rotten, low-down, double-crossing devil he is.
Yeah, that's terrible.
You're a complete failure.
Bedazzled is sinful.
Your wife has a very beautiful body.
Bedazzled is funny. Bedazzled may never be shown on television. Although CBS calls it the best comedy around. And NBC thinks it's the thinking man's comedy of the year. Are you ready for... You'd sell your soul for a movie as funny as this.
Apparently, you would sell your soul for a movie this funny. I think it is funny, despite my non-laughter when I watched it. But I don't think I'd sell my soul for it, no.
No, not by any means. I'll be honest, I didn't particularly care for either of these movies all that much.
No?
No. I love Dudley Moore. I never tire of watching him, and I didn't hate either of them either, but they're movies that if I had never seen them again, or if I never see them again, I'm not going to be sad.
I'd certainly say that about the Brendan Fraser one. I'm like, that was probably the second time I'd seen it, because I think I saw it somewhere in its video release after the movie had come out. But,
These are both first watches for me.
For me, it's dumb entertainment.
Yeah, I remember trying to watch Bedazzled, the remake, around the time it came out. I don't remember exactly when, but I do remember turning it off, going, yeah, I'm just not in the mood for this. And then the original, again, these older movies didn't really appeal to me unless they were westerns. Right? And science fiction, that old science fiction I really liked too, but yeah, the old comedies I just never really gravitated to, and I still don't really like these older comedies all that much. I did enjoy the original a little bit better than the remake, and mostly because of the chemistry between Dudley Moore and Peter Cook. I found that the sketch bits were almost a little bit too long for me. They needed to be 3 or 4 minutes shorter.
There was a couple of times where I'm like, okay,
I'm checking out. I was actually starting to check out.
The one where he was the smart guy.
Yeah, the very first one?
Yeah. That one, I'm like, oh boy, I hope they're not all like this.
Yeah. The first two were really painful for me. I found them both really a little bit long.
The wealthy guy one, that was exceptionally long.
It was exceptionally long. And unfortunately, it paid off very well at the end to make it worthwhile, but it was stretched out way further than it needed to be, I think.
Yeah, it should have been much shorter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The remaining ones were better, and I love the bits where he's meeting all the sins. But yeah, it almost lost me that first half of the movie because those first few sketches were so long. The setups were so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did take a while, but that was the whole thing. Like, I mean, in both movies, there's very long bits and very short bits.
Yeah, it really depends on what they're supposed to learn from that. The most ridiculous one, where's this? They both love each other unconditionally, and
I love that one.
That was wonderful.
Nuns in a convent.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm like,
and he's female.
Yes,
Yeah.
No, I love that one, and I love the one where they're madly in love, but she's actually married to somebody else.
Yes, and then they go off to cheat, and they're just crying all the time.
Because she's married to somebody who's truly wonderful and truly loves her.
And they feel guilt. And
these are always the twists that the devil does, and he's always the one that's usually in these little roles.
Yeah.
But I wasn't paying enough attention, now that I think about it, because the sections where they meet the sins, where he meets the sins, 7 wishes, 7 sins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do his meetups with these sins tie into those sketches?
You know, I tried to make the correlation, and I didn't really get that out of the scenarios per se. Like, I can't say he was lazy and sloth-like in one or gluttonous in another. I think they were just there to kind of work that Faustian story. Because this is a comic retelling of Faust, and that's just part of that story. So throwing the 7 deadly sins in its as bridges, as kind of ridiculous supporting characters. It's fun. You know, during this wish phase of Stanley's life and with this contract, he's staying with the devil at his palatial estate.
Well, it's this bar that's downstairs, but like he's got this, I don't know how it connects to like the house he has with his beautiful rooms in them.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Because they kind of go through there, don't they? They don't drive out there.
Well, yeah. Again, he's the devil, right? So and I'm sure that his palace is on another plane entirely, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's the whole wormhole thing.
Yeah, that was actually something I liked about the whole nightclub scene when we see it first, and everybody's partying and really young, and then at the latter third of the movie when he goes back and it's a bunch of senior citizens, then like, oh wait,
that's in the remake.
Is that the remake?
That's the remake.
They're doomed to party this whole time.
Well, it was about perception too, where they're partying, and he comes back and there's some people who are like, hey, save us, help us, and oh no, they're having a great time. Like it was.
Yeah, no, and it was a really great way to say that he had become disillusioned with this whole thing. It was a really great way of showing that.
Changed his perceptions.
Yeah, so no, that was one of the things that worked really well in the remake. Actually, I thought.
Yeah, the original one where it's all these when they're having their party in the original, and the devil decided because in the original it's a different scenario. He has to get 6 billion souls to get back into heaven, and that's just what he's doing. It's not really about their relationship.
It was way more than 6 billion. It was 100 billion.
Oh, it was 100 billion souls. So once he gets that many, he goes back to heaven. So he takes off in the middle of the party because he's like, everybody's having fun. I'll just let them do that.
Yeah. And he kind of lets Stanley off on the contract for his soul because he's got his 1 billion. He's won.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to confront God, and he's like, and I did a benevolent act. I gave him his soul back. How cool is that? I feel really good about that. Except that is a selfish reason.
But it wasn't when he did it.
I don't think so either. But I think that's just God fucking with him.
Yeah.
I think it also is too, because part of it is he's like, did you serve me loyally as the devil? By giving the soul back, he did not serve him loyally. He
broke the contract.
He did.
Yeah.
And he did it because like, well, I don't need it anymore. Right?
I love when he goes back to Stanley, like, no, sell me your soul back so I can give it back to you in a different way.
Yeah.
But I loved when he's burning the contract and he sort of starts disappearing until his hand, just holding the burning contract, disappears. I thought that was a cool effect.
Yeah, for 1967, it was a very cool effect. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, poor George Spigot.
And that's the end. See you guys.
Well, Leah, what about the 7 wishes? Like,
yeah, we skipped right to the end as usual.
I'm going to raspberry out of that.
There we go.
What happens if you accidentally do that? That kept going through my head.
Yeah.
That was a fart. That was a fart.
Yeah.
I know. Right?
I like the fact that he addressed that when he can't do it.
Yeah.
That was the whole fly bit was actually quite funny. It looks terrible, but it was very funny.
Also, when he's crying, he has trouble doing it too. He's
Now, okay, what were the 7 wishes? Well, the
intellectual.
First, no, the first.
Oh yes.
Was the lollipop.
The raspberry lolly, yeah.
Raspberry lolly. Well, prove that you're the devil. I wish for raspberry lolly. So they walk down to the corner, and he's like, "Well, you pay for it." Yeah. It's like, well, I get the raspberry lolly, and I had to pay for it because that's the devil.
He obtained it.
Yep.
And in the remake, it's a burger. It's a cheeseburger.
With no fries.
With no fries.
I
Fucking,
know.
like, you go to McDonald's and you don't get fries.
That's the only good thing about McDonald's.
That is hell.
Yeah, but what I can't freaking understand is like, you have the devil and you're I'll just wish for this. That's the biggest thing that's going through your head right now.
Well, I think the whole idea is it doesn't occur to anybody to wish for anything bigger because
Nobody believes
people are
it's
pretty
happening.
mundane, right? And they don't believe it's going to happen.
Well,
right?
yeah, there's complete doubt in the brain at this point.
Right.
Like, he thinks it's going to be this magical manifestation of a lollipop.
But if I don't believe it's going to happen, why not go big?
Well,
Like, really make it disappointing.
The movie needed something incredibly mundane.
I know.
That's what makes it funny.
That's what makes it funny.
No,
yes.
I know that's what makes it funny. But
As
I'm
we
just
tell the comedian.
As I'm super irritated by, just think about it. It's like when people talk about the purge. They just want to go kill people. No, I have other shit I want to do during the purge. I'll rob a bank.
Yeah.
Like, why won't you do that? Go into a bar and smoke inside. Do
That's
fun
true.
stuff.
It is all crime during the purge, so you don't have to just go murder people.
Yeah, get out of your...
mindlessly.
Yeah, just hack somebody's... Just do some fun shit.
If nothing else, no. It's the purge. What are you going to do? I'm going to fucking run that red light.
Yeah.
I'm going to key my neighbor's car because his dog shit on my lawn.
Yeah, see? That's the whole thing. People
Because
just...
most people aren't that bad.
People don't go straight to murder. That's what I can't fucking understand about that whole series.
Okay, now that we've managed to work the purge into Bedazzled.
All right. Okay. Sorry, keep going.
Okay, so the first official wish, because he doesn't think that counts at the time. It does later.
He doesn't even know it counts.
He doesn't even know it counts.
Well, because he hasn't signed the contract yet.
That's right. So he wants to become smart and articulate because part of Stanley's thing is he's quiet and meek. This goes into this big conversation about art and
he's also Scottish.
Yeah, he's Scottish and lots of big flowery words. It's a pretty fun scene
for a couple minutes.
For a couple of minutes, but it goes on way too long and ends in a very dark place because it looks like they're bonding and he's going in for the kiss and then she starts shouting rape.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
Well, and then I don't know, I found her sort of irritate, like part of it seemed so patronizing.
Mm-hmm.
I found it fucking irritating. Like he just wants, but I think they made her dim. And it just seemed so upsetting because it seems very molesty when somebody who's like smarter and more experienced is sexually trying to take advantage of somebody who's probably not the same level.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why they went to that whole rape angle. Yeah. But it was really dark and quite disturbing, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, the second wish sketch is he wants to be rich and powerful.
And married to
Margaret.
And she has to be very physical. Don't forget, that's very, very important.
Yeah,
and
sexually.
She is physical with everybody but him. He is basically the rich cuck. He's trying to buy her off and give her all sorts of jewelry and all sorts of gifts.
That really, I think, was what I didn't like about that scene.
And she's sleeping with the harp instructor.
Yeah.
What bothers
Who teaches
me,
harp?
yeah, what bothers me is the whole idea is I've bought you this, I've bought you this. I'm like going, it was the concept because you're married, I have you. That's, I own you now, your body is mine. That's stupid. And that I can buy you things and that buys your love. Also dumb.
Well, and that was the whole point. That was the whole message of that sketch.
Sure.
Right? Absolutely. But it got increasingly uncomfortable. Maybe it was supposed to. I know that good comedy should make you a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
But this took that little bit of discomfort to, I'm really uncomfortable and I'm actually getting really bored with this smarmy, wimpy, Weasley little guy.
Yeah.
And I was bored with him. It's like every time that he came up, he had some sort of gift for her. Right? And he was so pathetic, too.
And I think these first two wishes are probably the weakest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although there's one thing I did like about it. She had this, her bathing suit was like kind of this full length thing with like a length on the end and like it had sleeves. And I'm like, why can't I buy that now? That would be awesome.
Now, this one kind of mirrors the first wish in the remake,
Yeah.
where he wants to be rich and powerful, and I got to
Married.
give it, and married to her as well, and that's to Allison instead. And Brendan Fraser speaks flawless Spanish during this whole thing.
Yeah, and Russian.
And Russian, which is great, except he's a Colombian drug lord. There's no Colombian accent in what he's doing. I'm like, oh, until right at the end, oh, he's Colombian. I thought he was Mexican. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yes, he winds up being a drug lord, and very similar things. She's sleeping with the English teacher and just isn't interested in her husband at all.
As a matter of fact, she outright says she hates him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was
And instead of the raspberry in the remake, he has a pager that he throws in 666 to get out of his wishes.
they have a really fun joke with that later on.
Yep.
And that was a fun joke.
The sports guy.
Yeah, it was a fun joke.
Or no, it was the president one that I liked.
Oh, the president one too, but
It's really good.
yeah, there were a couple fun jokes actually with it. But yeah, that was probably of all the sketches. I think that when he uses the pager, sometimes it was the funniest part of the whole sketch.
Yeah, trying to fumble and get himself out because he's by the end of that sketch like shit's exploding.
He's falling from a helicopter,
and deals have turned south, and people have died. Yeah, he's falling from a helicopter, and he's dropped it, so he's trying to catch up to his pager before he goes splat. Yeah. And then as he comes out, he lands on a car, and she's the meter maid.
Yeah, which
parallels a joke from the original. Yeah,
but I also think this one also parallels the joke in the other one, the original, where he's a pop star and he gets replaced very quickly, whereas in this where he's the drug dealer, he gets replaced very quickly by his wife's lover because it's unless you can keep a stranglehold on everything, you're not going to stay in control.
Well, actually, the next wish in the remake is the pop star one we were just talking about. Let's be rich and famous and be loved in that regard. And he's on a show, he performs this big pop thing, and Margaret's going goo-goo over it, and then the next act comes up, and of course that is Peter Cook's George Spigot's band, and he does this kind of morose, new wave monotone thing that I hate everything, life is meaningless, and
I am empty inside,
and then just shows you how shallow Margaret is in this particular wish fulfillment. Is she just falls for the next act?
Well, it's shallow how all pop worship is.
Yeah, but that actually is mirrored in a deleted scene in the remake. There's a rock star moment that was shot and they took out because it was too dark and too many expletives because he plays a rock star. And the setup is he wants to be the bad boy. So he's sex, drugs, rock and roll, and it goes very badly, and he's swearing a lot in that, so I can see why they yanked it out.
That's very atypical for Brendan Fraser. I don't think I've ever seen him in a movie where he swears a lot.
Yeah, no. And I mean, given that I think the movie was probably PG, that's why they yanked that whole segment out. But it's a whole wish that goes away,
and that was because he'd already done it in Airheads anyhow.
True.
There you go.
What did they
this whole movie there?
What did they replace it with? For that one, I wonder.
I think it was a basketball player. I think
it probably was the basketball player.
Maybe it was a basketball player
because that was the public figure one, right? So instead of being a rock star, he was a basketball player.
Yeah,
right? And it tied in better with an earlier scene in the movie. Anyway.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and that in that one, that's Allison is playing a reporter, And Brendan Fraser is a popular basketball player, but he is dumb as fuck.
I
He has a
know.
very small winky.
And has a very small winky.
Yeah, and there's one part too
After
where she's
seeing the winky, she's like, "Oh, I got a football player I need to go into."
I was so mad.
Knew that we were going to get some commentary from Trish on this one because it's really not a very pleasant scene to begin with.
It's not a pleasant scene to begin with because I'm like, he's really dumb. Like that's not going to last very long. And then B, yeah, I don't know what the winky looks like. Who knows? It might just be like for his size small. Who knows?
Well, no, it's a very very tiny.
They use some
thing.
great camera
there's-
trickery to make him look huge.
Yeah.
By the way,
But there's
Yeah, they
also
did.
one bit
tall,
too
not huge.
where he says, "I better get changed," and she just stands there like some pervert.
Well,
That's fucking inappropriate.
yeah. Even in 2000, it would have been inappropriate.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and
I was like, she's an asshole.
yeah.
I'm glad this
And
wish
she's
doesn't work
being
out.
very overt with the innuendo.
Yes,
that he's not catching
that
on
he's
at
completely
all.
clueless about.
Yeah.
Right. But again, this is the whole lesson that the devil's trying to teach him, right? But that's where one of the funnier scenes with the
pager.
The pager, yeah, where he's got the pager number posted out, like post-it notes all over his
1,000
locker.
times over.
And he hits them on. He keeps getting the wrong one. The best part is when he holds it upside down, it was 999. He's like, oh, and turns it over, and then finally gets the right one. But
Which, a quick note, in the UK, 999 is the emergency number.
There we go.
there we go.
So if an emergency and you're in the UK,
Yeah, it's not 911.
no, and it's not 666.
No. Oh, I had one question about the pop star thing. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but what was wrong with the vertical hold on all those, like if they're filming it? Like all those TVs were having a big
I
problem.
don't know. Maybe they just wanted it to look. I don't know. Actually,
Like it looked like it should be recording in a studio, so they shouldn't have that problem.
They
Right?
should not have that problem. No.
well, I always thought like when it looked like a TV angle, we were supposed to be viewing it as if we're watching on a 60s tube television, not one of the monitors, but it was one of the monitors. So.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, vertical hold is easy to fix, especially if you're in a studio. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little knob.
Yeah.
I know. I was wondering if you guys watched that and did it drive you nuts?
It didn't drive me nuts. I just felt like they were trying to oversell the scene.
Yeah.
I know, but it's
Yeah, and I think that's part of that. That's what I felt about most of the scenes in the original. Is there's a point there where it went from good to just a little bit overselling it.
yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
that was almost all of the sketch scenes.
Yeah, and that's why the whole movie, like, it just feels like a bunch of sketches put together. A little more obviously than, I mean, that is essentially the structure of the remake as well, but it feels very much like here are our sketches throughout the original.
See, and I felt what I enjoyed more was it just in the remake where it's simply just the devil and Elliot in the interstitials and not everybody else, because then you get this consistency as it goes forward. Yeah, because sometimes the action sort of stopped for a different sketch.
Yeah, well, you get the sketches with the sins, and it does feel intrusive into it.
Which I think why Ramis dropped them from his remake.
Yeah, and I much preferred when every time he came out of his sequences, his wishes, that he would be interacting with the devil again, and he'd be fixing the meters with the snap of his fingers, or make that lady's
I
bag
love
of groceries.
the petty mean shit he did in the original.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they kept a little bit of that in the remake, but it wasn't as much fun.
No.
Yeah.
They did sort of the I wish they'd kept the phone thing. The phone thing was pretty entertaining in the original.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, I do have a job.
Yeah. I still
not all
have
about-
stuff to do. Hello, Mrs. Simpson. Is this Mrs. Soren Simpson? Did I get you out of the bath? Oh, sorry, wrong number. Just horrible stuff.
It was horrible, but so petty, and that's what made it making the devil look petty was a lot. It was kind of fun, right?
But it makes you think, though, like that would be the type of thing. Because, I mean, enough petty annoyances, somebody can become really bitter.
Or lash out.
And cruel and do other stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the butterfly effect. It'll snowball into something else.
Yeah, and that was the whole point he was trying to make, right?
Yeah.
And there was one point, a bit of dialogue where he explains exactly that.
Yeah. Now, there's this whole background subplot going as well, where the inspector is investigating Stanley going missing and his possible suicide or murder, for that matter. So he's having Margaret look at bodies, and he's flirting with her. And
he's being creepy with her.
He's being kind of creepy and very inappropriate given the circumstances.
Extremely creepy.
And Margaret doesn't really know Stanley outside of work. So this is also bugging him during this time. Mm-hmm. And I say bugging because that leads us to our next wish, because he needs to know what's going on there and wishes to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. Literally a fly on the wall.
Quite literally a fly on the wall.
Yes. So they're buzzing around the morgue.
And I think what's strange about that one is even as a fly, he doesn't really, he saves her, I'm pretty sure, from a rape by the inspector.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like it was heading that way. Yeah.
So, yeah, this inspector, because, and he thinks she's flirting with him. You took her to a fucking morgue.
I know.
You psycho.
And they're, running the lake like it's a date, and they're looking for bodies.
Yes.
This is so weird.
Yeah, and, I mean, the inappropriateness of it was, I think, was supposed to be funny, but as a modern day audience, it's not funny to us. But I think that it probably would have been funny to a 60s audience because it was pushing boundaries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? That we wouldn't even consider pushing now because we're so politically correct.
Well, no, I think there's a portion where he's like, I think a lot of women deserve it. That's not funny. Right. I don't know when you were thinking about it.
Well, again, like I said, there's not everything is going to be appropriate, but even then, but I think that was what they were trying to do, is sort of see how far they could push those boundaries, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it's just creepy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think what would have been funny is when he's inviting her to a party at the morgue. That's fine. It's just when it gets to that rapey point, that's not funny.
No, there were definitely some uncomfortable moments in it, and that I think
and that's
is
not
just
comedy. I'm sorry,
I think that's something that didn't age well, and I don't know if it would have been funny to me in the 60s either.
No, that's what I'm saying. That part wasn't funny.
Yeah.
It was, and I think that was why, at that point, I don't think was supposed to be funny. It was about Stan, even as a fly, trying to save her from this creepy inspector.
Yeah, I think you're more onto that.
I was about to say the same thing. It was more about Elliot's actions rather than what was actually happening in the scene.
Yeah. Now, the fifth wish is an idyllic countryside scene. She's married with 2 kids, and oops, and she's madly in love with Stanley, except Stanley isn't who she's married to. Mm-hmm. That would be the George. Again, George Spigot, but the devil playing the nicest of husbands.
Oh, absolutely.
And
he's a dream. As a husband, he seems pretty good.
And they are just tortured for the fact that they are in love with each other and having to hide this against poor George.
Yeah.
To be honest,
who's practically setting them up for dates.
Yes, he is setting them up for dates.
Because he trusts his wife.
He trusts his wife and his best friend. Would you not find him annoying after a very short period of time? Because he's almost too obsequious?
I don't know.
Because he is just like
here's the deal. I've probably been at home with the kids all fucking day, and I'm probably done by that point. So having somebody come in and take over sounds like a dream.
Well, no, and I don't disagree that having somebody sort of pick up the slack.
But I don't think he was obsequious. I think
he was totally obsequious.
Let me do this for you. I don't know. That seems just. I think that would be fine.
He seemed almost. It was a little over the top for me, I thought.
See, because I thought he was helping out. It wasn't worship. He was helping out. That's not the same thing. Like
I know couples
Stanley,
just like that.
Yeah, but Stanley Moon giving her all the stuff, to me, that's obsequious. It's very low status, and that's what I would find annoying.
I agree with you. I found that definitely annoying as well.
But actively participating and helping me with things is more helpful than obsequious.
Yeah. But the point of this scene is that they're tortured of having this love for each other and cheating on this poor man at the same time. And it's just they're in a horrible situation because they want to be with each other. And
to the point where they can't do it.
They can't do it. Yeah. And so that gets them out of that one. And number 7, I guess if you include the lolly, is, of course, the nuns.
Yeah.
And he spells it out too. He really wants this one detailed, and he tries desperately to try to raspberry out of this when he realizes he's a nun and female. But this great
which it satisfies
this great love with
everything.
each other, and it satisfied every one of his points. How ridiculous the nuns
One of which
themselves
he has
too.
to be Caucasian.
And how they pray to their god is with trampolines. They were the jumping nuns of something or other.
Well,
I
it
don't
was
remember
the jumping nuns. They wanted her canonized as a saint and wouldn't speak until that happened.
Yeah, it is a funny scene because he's constantly trying to raspberry out of this and nothing's happening.
And he's afraid of heights, so he doesn't like bouncing on the trampoline.
Yeah. And I mean, it is so absurd. Like, that scene was so Monty Python to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was definitely the most Monty
Well,
Python.
nuns doing like front flips on trampolines. It's just funny.
In habits.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, no, that was. I can see why they saved it for last because it was great. And at this point, George has reached his 100 billion souls, and as we said, he goes to God and trying to get back into heaven because he's won the bet. And he does that benevolent thing and hands the soul back to Stanley. And when the offer is made again, he's like, no, I'm going to... And he's genuinely, I think, friends with the devil at this point. Like, they do like each other. But he makes the choice of going, no, I'm going to go out my own this time, and chooses to speak to her and ask her out. And she's busy. She doesn't have any plans, but she says, maybe another time.
See, I love that. It's
And
not
that opens
outright
a door.
rejection. It's just like, oh, no, another day.
It's
Sure.
another door. And you can see he's like, he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in some of the part scenes where Stanley can't hear what she's saying about him, she does know he exists. She's like, he's just always really quiet. I just don't know. I don't know him very well.
Yeah, because he's never put himself out there to be known. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see that she appreciates that he's now making that effort in that scene where she's like, well, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy, but I'm open to coming out with you later on another time. Yeah, no, and it does. It works really well. It actually feels like a true ending.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it feels like something would really happen.
Okay.
Well, and a true beginning for Stanley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's run the trailer for the 2000 remake, and we'll run through that one really quickly.
Elliot Richards needs a life.
You're the man, Elliot. It's all about first impression. Go over there and say hello.
But most of all, he wants Allison.
Hi.
Hi. Do I know you?
Oh, I sure hope so. We've only been working together for the last 4 years.
I don't think I've ever seen you before.
I'm here with some friends, and I was wondering if maybe you wanted to...
Elliot has never had any of his dreams come true.
I would give anything to have that girl in my life.
Until now.
Hello. Well, very clear. I bet you're a whiz with the ladies.
Well...
Let's go someplace quiet so we can talk.
Okay.
What if I told you that I had the power to give you anything and everything you've always dreamed of?
Who are you?
Promise not to tell anyone? I'm the devil.
Yeah, right.
I am the devil, Satan, Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness. Well, the Princess of Darkness, anyway. Why don't we take a look at the contract? I, the devil, with offices in Purgatory, Hell, and Los Angeles, will give you 7 wishes for one piddling little soul.
Is this real?
It could be. Sign it, Elliot.
Okay. I wish that I were married to Allison and that I were very, very rich and very powerful.
You got it.
Muy buenos días, señor. ¿Le apetece algo de comer?
Como dices, no habla español. Un momento. Realmente estoy hablando español. Hola. Mucho gusto. No, gracias. Soy alérgico a los crustáceos.
Elliot may have 7 wishes.
You turned me into a drug dealer.
What's the big deal? You asked for rich and powerful.
But she's not going to give him
Back so soon?
a chance in hell. Bedazzled.
Nobody gets it totally right away. That's why you get 7 wishes. Besides, do I look like somebody who tried to trick you?
Okay, that was Bedazzled from 2000.
Yeah, I can't believe it's 17 years old already, but...
I know, right?
Yeah, crazy when you think about it. It might get a remake of its own now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We're not talking about that.
No.
That opens a whole new can of worms.
Well, let's talk about Elizabeth Hurley and all of her outfit changes.
I loved it. I loved some of her outfits.
Very much, it was very obvious that she took her look from Raquel Welch in the original film and then
amped it up.
The over sexiness of that character. And as I was telling Sam while the trailer was running, there's a moment where she's teaching a bunch of kids and she's in this schoolgirl outfit, and they're actually working on a real theorem, and you guys can go look it up. I'm not going to get into the science and math of it all because math is boring. But
as she said,
men, if you're listening, the schoolgirl outfit she's wearing in that scene is hers.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? Just let that sit there.
She
for
brought
a
her
bit.
own wardrobe.
Oh, God damn, we love you, Elizabeth Hurley, for just that.
Well, there's one portion when she's talking to him about the contract. She's wearing this black suit, but like there's a very tight fitted vest, but like a red lining in it. I'm like, that's an amazing outfit. You could totally just wear that.
She's about 19.
I loved it.
She has 19 outfit changes in here. The deleted scene, she's in a sexy maid outfit.
Nice.
She's barely hanging in there.
Yeah.
That's during the setup scene. But as we know, they got replaced with the basketball thing. So we'll get through the wishes here. But to set this up, he works in IT, and he's really annoying. Like, oh my God, I can understand why nobody wants to talk to this guy. He's trying so hard to be people's friends, but he's that annoying guy.
Yeah.
And he's he's oblivious to people treating him badly, which is just sad.
Yeah. And it is sad, but you don't like him that much. You don't feel too bad for him. And I think that's part of the problem with this script is he's so unlikable at the beginning of this movie.
He is very unlikable.
Well, I had some of it where like
you don't have a lot of sympathy for this guy.
Pretty sexist, and he's kind of like he's got some really bad qualities.
Yeah.
And I mean, he
makes
learns
him say
some of them.
Really bad things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's the challenge of these films is you have to make him you have to put him in such a position where everything is going wrong, and it is kind of his fault. That should be be established.
Yeah.
But how to put a person there and not make them unlikable is freaking hard.
But they did do it very well in the original movie by making him shy and awkward. But Stanley was very self-aware of his failings, right? Why he was failing. He was very aware of it. The problem with Elliot is he's not aware of it. He knows that people don't like him, but he doesn't know why. He doesn't understand what it is about his personality that people don't like. And I think that's the flaw. It's hard to be put on the right path if you don't even know what the path is, right?
See, yeah, and I got Stanley Moon was still kind of unlikable in that it was a fault of like, I'm not rich, I'm not anything else, and that's why my life is bad. Like, I know he knows she's shy, he knows one of his faults, but I don't think he's fully aware.
But he still has a certain amount of self-awareness, whereas Elliot has none.
There's none, yeah. No.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
I like how the devil finds him in the first place, and this all happens in the opening credits, where there's this scanning going on as we're going through people and we're seeing what their flaws are, and Stanley's got a lot of them, and so that makes him a target right away. It's this kind of third-person scanning thing that we're seeing the devil figure this character out, and this guy's going to be fun to mess with.
Yeah.
Or these people cheats on his taxes, an environmentalist who litters. Like it's a fun opening sequence.
It is fun, because they're looking for people like cause Elliot's not a bad guy. He's just got a lot of flaws, and he's like, and as I said, he's completely unaware that they're flaws, that he even has flaws. So he's not automatically a candidate for the devil. He's somebody that she can work on, though, right? That's the whole point about the flaws.
He's vulnerable.
He's vulnerable. Yes. Somebody who cheats on his taxes, they're already going to hell.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's a sin or not.
I I don't know. I think isn't there like a line of like put to Caesar what's Caesar's? I don't know. There's a whole thing, but cheats on his taxes. Probably does other stuff too. So I mean, we're only seeing one of these things these people do. With their head praying, sleeping.
You know,
it's funny.
If there's a separation of God and state, and taxes are from the state, then technically taxes are not a sin.
But if you, not cheating on your taxes. Cheating on your taxes might be a sin because it might consider a form of theft, which stealing is.
Ah,
yes.
Okay, so anyway.
Now theological discussions on Invasion of the Remake.
Economic theological
So,
discussions. It's weird.
At the beginning of the film, he wants to make plans with his coworkers who just are coming up with excuses to dodge him, and then he finds them all at the bar he goes to anyway. And so, he's feeling kind of put off even then, and that's where the devil finds him and makes the offer. And the first wish, of course, we talk about is the Big Mac, even though this one, when I started counting from the first wish, and I actually do get to 7. So something went wonky there. But so he gets the Big Mac, and they do talk about that as well, that was a wish. So I don't know. And then we talked about him being rich and powerful, and that's the Colombian drug lord. The second one, he wanted to be the most sensitive man in the world.
Which was just the worst fucking sequence ever.
Awful. Every time he looks at the sun setting, he starts breaking up into tears.
He starts bawling.
And
the bad songs about dolphins, and it's just a bad scene.
He's constantly getting distracted by how sensitive he is, and she loves him. But it's getting overwhelming for her to the point where some guy comes in that classic kick sand in the wimp's face kind of moment.
That bit was funny.
That was funny. And she goes, Elliot, sometimes you just want somebody who's going to be shallow and use you and treat you for like trash.
And ignore you, yeah.
And ignore you. And the dude goes...
I was like sitting there...
The dude goes, that's me.
And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? Like, it made me irritated because part of the problem that she's having in that scene, and I noticed it, was, he is a very sensitive man who knows about his own emotions. He is completely unattuned to hers.
Yeah, that's exactly.
He is sensitive to his own emotions, which is why I would be fucking done with him. I wouldn't be looking for these guys because they also seem horrible. That's a gang rape waiting to happen.
Yep.
She just needs to leave and maybe work on herself.
That was her out.
Yeah.
But there is a nice little callback where the devil shows up with 2 Dobermans called Dudley and Peter.
Yes. That I did not pick up on that. That's great.
Dudley, Peter, stop. And then she takes them away.
But I was also really sick during that scene. Yeah, so, And it's funny, after that, the devil has an emotional breakdown, too.
Yeah.
I try really hard.
But that's part of the whole point, too.
She's manipulating him.
I love that she says, I'm the Barbra Streisand of evil.
Yes.
And at the end, she's like going, oh, you're sensitive enough. You even went for me crying.
Exactly. Yeah. So the devil's always putting it on. Actually, in the original, which I opened with that sequence where the devil says, I'm always lying. Mm-hmm. And I just...
Except now.
And I'm lying about that, too. Not everything I've told you is a lie. Even that. Which means he was telling the truth in some bits. And it was great.
Yeah.
It's such a great kind of classic...
Who's on first kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love it.
Isn't there... Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the third wish was equivalent to the Rockstar wish, and as we said, the original Rockstar one was cut from the film and replaced with the basketball scene. We don't need to go over that again.
Wait, one thing about the basketball scene, Orlando Jones as the 2 guys doing the color commentary. Yeah. No, I think he's a great talent. He's a wonderful talent.
You can see in one of the deleted scenes where Orlando Jones actually gets lost, and that you can tell that there was a lot of ad-libbing going on, and at one point he's like, oh, okay. So he didn't have anything left.
It was good.
But when he comes out of that, it's funny because she's like slipping placebos as a nurse in her sexy nurse's outfit. It's always the sexy something or other.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. M&M's and Mike and Ike's, I think, is what she was putting into their medication.
And placebos do sometimes work in some instances. So.
Yeah. And in the fourth scene is he wants to be smart, articulate, witty, popular, good looking.
In the first scene in the original.
Good looking, and a big dick.
Yes.
he makes sure it's like, let's not do that again. But
he does stipulate not cartoonishly big.
Yes.
Yeah, not cartoonishly big. He's written 4 books in 3 years.
Well loved by society. Yeah.
Wealthy.
They're exploring the feelings of inebriation and how things feel while you're drunk and
why
touching each other.
Why existentialism isn't necessarily depressing.
Yeah, it's very like, okay, he's got it. He's got this. He gets home and interrupts his gay lover. Wakes up the gay lover and he's like, wait, what? I'm gay? I'm not gay.
Kiss me.
Kiss me.
I'm gay.
I'm gay.
Yeah.
666.
Yeah. But that was handled way better. Like, that was a great way to end that scene instead of the whole rape bit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, because that was so uncomfortable the first time.
It was, yeah. And I mean, the thing I liked about the scene is even though he didn't want to be gay, he wasn't bothered by the homosexuality. It's just that's not who he wanted to be.
Well, but what was weird, I found it was a strange thing where he could have had her in his life and they could have been good friends and it could have been a real relationship, which is what he says he wants. Mm-hmm. He just wouldn't be able to have sex with her because he was gay, or wouldn't want to have sex with her because he was gay, and that was the deal breaker, which is sort of odd. But that's just not what he wants. But that's the weird part. He doesn't really know what he wants.
Yeah, but at the same time, does he learn anything from that scene? Like, I feel like there's something to be learned from most of the scenes in the original, of some aspect of his personality. That one, I don't know if there was any lesson there in that particular.
No. There aren't really in any of the remake scenes, and I think that might be part of.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
some hints of it from that they sort of pulled from the original, but I mean, the basketball scene. What does he really learn from that?
He doesn't want to be a dummy. That's for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be dumb, but he doesn't want to be attracted to the person because he's famous or because that's
that would be an envy.
And shallow.
Yeah, so that would be the parallel to envy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure.
You know
what was
yes,
we learned
there
from
is a
that.
parallel. This would be the pride, right? This would be the parallel to pride, right? Because I think that all the scenes do parallel to the 7 deadly sins. You just have to sort of find. Yeah,
sometimes you got to dig. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this would certainly parallel to the pride, right? Mm-hmm. Right? But and I think that the making him be gay is one. He didn't stipulate specifics, which also parallels to the nun scene, right?
That's what I was thinking as well.
Right, but it also stipulates that that his arrogance would be the lesson there.
But
right?
see, what I liked in the original nun scene is in that one. That was one where you see Stanley actually coming to the conclusion, like going, "Why does it matter that like I'm a woman and a nun and you're a woman and a nun? I love you." Like the fact that he realized it transcended anything gendered he had in his mind.
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, in this one, nobody's investigating his disappearance. He's not suicidal for one, but there doesn't seem to be any competition for him in the real world for her affections. She barely knows he exists.
Yeah.
They work in the same office, and
they've spoken twice by the time he meets the devil. He's actually spoken to her for the second time ever.
Yeah,
right.
Which it's a giant office. Yeah. I don't know everybody in the company I work at. You probably don't know everybody.
Sure,
in the city.
In those situations, for sure, you don't always know everybody who's working for the same company.
Well, and I mean,
gigantic companies like that.
I think to a certain extent, one of the things I liked that worked better in the remake is Allison in the remake and Margaret in the original. I mean, they're kind of distant objects of affection. I mean, he doesn't know either. In neither movie does he know this person, right? It's based purely on the way they look physically.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the problem.
That is very much part of the problem. And they address that really well in the remake.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, and we'll get there when we get there. But but I wanted to say that while it was in my mind.
So, in his fifth wish, he wants to go down in history for doing something important. So the devil makes him Abe Lincoln, and it's a night out in the town at Ford's Theater. Yeah, he can't wait to get. He gets out of that one real fast.
I love that.
Just as the bullet goes off.
Yeah, he's like, hang on, just 1 second. Go ahead.
Well, there's that whole bit we're talking about looking for the pager. This is Abe Lincoln. He's like, I'm looking for my pager. It's a plastic thing. Plastic's not a thing then.
No.
It's smaller than a cell phone. they don't know what he's talking about. Like, Abe Lincoln sounds insane before he's about to get shot.
No, it was hilarious. It was one of the funnier bits in the whole movie.
And I like how they made him up to be Abe Lincoln.
And in a lot of ways, that's kind of the silliest one, like the nun scene. Let's give him something that's so over the top.
Absurd, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the sketch sequences are a little absurd in the remake, and they relied so heavily on makeup to make him look like not himself, which bothered me a little bit, because one of the things that I don't think I would want if I were in that situation, I mean, not that I'm ever going to sell my soul to the devil. I'm pretty happy with my life the way it is, for the most part. I don't want to be anybody but me, right? I don't want to look like somebody else. I don't want to talk like somebody else. And they really changed him in this movie.
See, yeah, I don't know. That's the weird thing I would do. Like, it's the whole thing where I've taught as a woman, like, how you look makes a big difference. So I would have to, I would ultimately have to choose to look different.
Yeah. Now, when he comes out of this one, he's pretty pissed off. He comes out at work and he's talking to his computer. People look at him a little weird.
He's the only one who can see it.
Everybody looks at him a lot weird.
And that's when he's informed that, hey, that Big Mac, that was your 6. So that was your first one. So that actually wasn't your 5th. It was your 6th wish.
Yeah.
So now he's even more upset. There's a point where he's actually shown hell in her true form. With this big monstrous thing.
He decided he doesn't want that last wish.
Yeah, and he's like, no, you have to take the wish. And he goes to church to talk to, I don't know, to try to talk to God or something, and talks to a priest who basically thinks he's drunk, and he gets arrested. And that's when he has a conversation with his cellmate saying, well, you can't technically sell your soul. It already belongs to God.
Yeah.
You've got to, learn from these, what's going on.
Who are you?
And who are you really?
Yeah.
And what's funny is I think the hilarious part is he is basically telling this priest, I completely believe in God. I need him to arbitrate something. And his complete unshakable belief makes the priest think he's insane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or drunk. Yeah.
Yeah. People can't truly believe in this unless they're insane and drunk. That's dumb.
Yeah. Which, there's a really not very subtle dig at at organized religion in that scene for sure.
Mm-hmm. So when he gets out of jail, he's kind of learned something from that conversation, and that's when he goes back to the club. And as we said, everybody's old at the club.
Yeah.
And he decides that there's a big argument with the devil and whatnot.
She's wearing her Halloween costume.
Right. And Elliot says, fine, then I wish for her to have a happy life. Mm-hmm. That's it. He's done. He's like, you know what? It's not going to be with me, so let's just let her have a happy life. Mm-hmm. And she rolls her eyes and gets pissed off, and I forgot to mention that this contract is massive. Like, it's this huge tome.
It's like bigger than 2 phone books.
And I wish they would have set this up a little bit more. And she rolls her eyes and she's like, you had to do the one thing in the contract that makes it all null and void and you get to keep your soul is by making a wish, a truly benevolent act with one of your wishes, which he does. And she's like, God.
Yeah. Curses.
I love the line where she says, "You guys never read the contract."
Yes,
right? Because she says because he doesn't know about the clause. She's like, "Well, what clause?" And then she gets frustrated. She never read the contract, right? Because it's like 800 pages long.
It's huge, and there's portions of it that like they show it in camera where it's the tiniest writing where you need a magnifying glass to read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quite literally the small print. So and that's how come he doesn't know about this. The fact that he's already used a wish, like there's all these rules that he doesn't know about, right? But in his ignorance, he manages to do the one right thing.
Yeah. So he's free. He's free of the devil. Again, they kind of like each other, but he's free and gets back to his life. He gets back to the office, and it's those co-workers who can't stand him. They just finally... They play a practical joke and try to turn his foibles onto him, and he's just lost all patience.
And they try to mock him openly.
They try to mock him openly. But he's still Brendan Fraser. He's a big dude. He grabs one of them. Have a nice day. Nice chat with you.
Yeah, and just shoves him.
And
gives the other two a withering look.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make him any more likable.
No. But at the same time, it's like, well, these were never my friends, and that's these aren't my friends moment.
Yeah.
And he's like... That's fine. You feel a bit better for him because, like, You're trying to be part of a group that doesn't want you. So I didn't feel too bad about that moment because I'm like, yeah, you know what? You need to go out and find your life. Yeah. And now he's doing it because he doesn't need these people who don't want him in the first place. And nobody needs people they don't want.
Yes. And he stopped being so simpering, so he's standing up for himself.
Yeah. No, and absolutely, like I said, I understood what the moment meant.
Yeah.
Right? But moving from being so desperate to be liked to being kind of violently aggressive was maybe a step too far. I think it could have been handled without the physical bit. It could have been handled through the dialogue.
But it shows that now he's comfortable in his own skin.
That's true, right? But again, it could have been done through dialogue without the physical portion of it. That's the part that made me go, that might have been just crossing that line just a little bit. And I'm not the overly sensitive political, social justice warrior type, but
I didn't. It didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me.
He didn't punch him, but he just
that would have been too far.
Yeah,
that would have been too far. The HRA is going to get called, but no, he's not gonna.
Yeah, but this is the time where he decides to make a move on Allison finally, and she's polite and says, "I'm sorry, I'm seeing somebody," and politely lets him down. And you're like, "Oh man!" After all of that, and she's not on the market anyway. Yeah. It was never even an option.
Yeah,
but by just happenstance, but that could be his wish. And if she's going to have a happy life, maybe it was never meant to be with him.
Yeah, couldn't be with him. And the other bit about it, too, is how he couches that, asking her out. I was like, you look like an interesting person. I think you would be fun. I'd like to get... He says, literally, I would like to get to know you.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get to know each other.
That's part of what I liked about the ending of this one, right? One is he handled it like an adult, right? Like you would actually with starting a real relationship. I want to get to know you. You seem really interesting. I think, honestly, I find you physically attractive, but I don't know if that's everything.
Yeah. You're not an acquisition. I want to know a person.
Yeah.
Right. So that didn't go so well, but... In his trip home, he happens to meet somebody who just moved in next door, who needs help, who looks exactly like Allison, just different hair color, and happens to have a lot of the similar personality quirks and foibles, and she's just a little more energetic and outgoing person, and they share interests. And you're like, oh, he's going to be fine. He gets what he wants. There's the superficial aspects that he was attracted to in a person that's more... going to be part of that's more compatible to his personality, and everything ends great for him.
Yeah.
I just wish she hadn't looked like Allison.
Yeah, it should have been a different person.
Yeah,
I think. But I guess you do get what you want in the end.
Yeah, and
is that the lesson? I don't know.
It shouldn't be.
No. It should have been a different person. Because it shouldn't have been somebody with the superficial qualities that he was attracted to.
No,
plus it just all seems too convenient. But then again, you get the devil and God playing chess with a wink and a nod, watching all this happening. Yeah. So maybe it's all a setup. Going, well, we did put him through shit.
See, and I like the idea that it wasn't really. They got rid of the bet, and it is the devil and God sort of playing chess, because part of it sort of seems like one needs the other to be successful.
Oh, absolutely! I mean,
it is a symbiotic relationship.
It is a symbiotic relationship. Yes.
Well, through both these movies, this journey with the devil, who isn't really adversarial, and through these wishes and constantly sabotaging these wishes. It teaches lessons and makes, hopefully, Elliot or Stanley a better person on the other end.
And it does in both movies.
Yeah.
I think that they both had, even though they had a lot of similar experiences, the journeys ended up being very different.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I will say this, for romantic comedies, these were kind of bearable.
I don't know, because it's not really a romantic... It's about going on a journey. I don't know, the romance is... There isn't that much romance. Everything is sort of secondary. It's more of a quest.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that it's sort of... The hero, it's funny. He puts his soul on the line to learn what he has to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, no, and I mean, that's the whole... Tale of Faust, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the original, he hasn't got anything left to lose. He was going to take his life anyway.
Yeah. And he would have lost his soul anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an irony there, actually.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually, it was funny when George walks in on him having failed to commit suicide. He'd already tailed him from his job and just bursts into his house.
Well, actually, the real irony is when George mentions, and this is a real thing, that, if he calls the police, he would be arrested for trying to commit suicide.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a couple of ironic bits there, but I mean, in most faiths, I mean, if you kill yourself, you don't get to go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, if he'd been successful, the devil would have gotten his soul, but because he wasn't, the devil now has to work for it.
If it was the devil, it would have just offered up other alternatives. It would have made his life so much easier.
Yeah,
but probably not as fun.
But see, the thing is, the devil was, and they make it very clear, he's doing his job.
Yeah,
right.
And I think part of what the job is I'm going to mess with this guy, but let's make him a better person as a result. I think part of that is also the job.
Yeah, and part of it also, too, I don't think he can overtly be that direct in getting somebody to damn themselves. He has to sort of make that happen.
He has to use temptation and lies.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it can't be a complete,
and
kill this guy.
Yeah, and oftentimes when those temptations are offered to him, he doesn't take them.
Yeah.
So, but generally, the devil is trying to steer him away from that as well. Like, okay, your wish is a bit shallow, and I'm going to show you why by
screwing it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's the whole point of the thing is they really, neither movie makes the devil out to be truly bad. There's somebody they're a guide, right? Where people have a choice, right? You can choose to be a better person, or you can continue to be a selfish person, or whatever, or a mean person, or whatever person you happen to be when the devil gets to you.
Yeah.
Right? In Stanley and Elliot's cases, they're both underlyingly they're good people. They're genuinely good people. They just don't know how to be that person.
Yeah,
right? Correct. And the devil teaches them how.
And it's about teaching them, like, you can ask specifically to be this particular, actual, very specific type of person, and you think I can just make that happen for you, but maybe what you think you really, really want isn't what you actually really, really want. You can have everything handed to you, and it won't work out the way you want to, because life isn't like that.
Now that we've gotten deep and philosophical, let me ask you this question. Which version of the devil would you prefer to hang out with, Elizabeth Hurley or Peter Cook? Let's make it fun again.
Yeah.
Elizabeth I'm sorry, she sounds fun. I think we would have a great time.
I would have to agree. I found George Spigot maybe a little on the annoying side sometimes.
Oh, I loved his dialogue, but Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah, you're just talking, hanging out, and she just seems fun.
Yeah.
Oh man, and she would be a great wingman.
Oh, absolutely, right?
Yeah, totally great wing person.
Wing woman.
Wing person. Yeah, wing woman.
Wing person.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Wing person. She can turn into anything she wants to be.
That's true. Oh, no, you'd have to leave her like that. Because nothing will make you sexier to another woman by hanging out with somebody that sexy.
Unless you're a woman.
Yeah, and I'm a woman, and then I'm going to get ignored. So no. But also just hanging out with that version of the devil, even if I'm not trying to pick up somebody, it would be fun.
Yeah.
Just having drinks.
Yeah. A lot of times when you're hanging out with George, he's doing the job and doing terrible things to people. But so is she.
Yeah, she is. They both do these petty little malicious things, and it was a lot more of it in the original, right? But there was still some of it in the remake, because it was very indicative of how small the devil's job needs to be, right? It's like these little things can cause greater suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know, and I think it would just be annoying, because with George Spigot, it's like you're tagging along to his day job. That's not fun. I want to just hang out. I'm just tagging along to your day job. I'm not going to help you at work.
Yeah, and I think that Hurley's version, there's a lot. The wink and the nod was a lot more blatant. Like there's always sort of that, you always sort of see that she's not even taking herself seriously for a lot of it.
Yeah. And her fashion sense is completely on point. I loved it.
Oh, for sure. It still stands up. But, hey, you got a former model in there doing the job of the devil, you're going to get a good fashion designer coming in and doing that stuff too.
Exactly.
Well, it was fun. That was Bedazzled, something a little different for us.
Mm-hmm.
It was, we haven't done done anything like that in quite a while, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of why I'm like, let's start off with some interesting stuff for the new year. And
considering coming
really
off Christmas.
Exactly.
A Christian holiday.
This is actually your second comedy in a row, isn't it?
Well, yes, technically it is.
Yeah.
And very different types of comedies.
Yes.
So. And we'll be doing more. I'm going to try to really mix it up this year, and we're going to have all sorts of stuff. But don't worry, we're going to have action, science fiction, and fantasy, and all sorts of stuff.
There's so much out there.
Yeah, there's no shortage of stuff going on, and we'll have some specials and whatnot. So stay tuned, because Invasion Remake is going nowhere. We are going to be in your earballs for a very long time.
Well, I mean, we're moving forward, but we're not. We're staying online.
Well, yes, we're staying on point.
We'll continue to provide you with fun shit to listen to.
That's right. That's but if you got specific episodes you want to see done or fan challenges, please let us know. You can do that at Invasion Remake on Twitter, Invasion of the Remake on Facebook, and invasionofthemake@gmail.com. And we're on Instagram now.
We are.
And hopefully we'll have some content for you soon, because we just opened it as we were talking about this. But by the time you hear it, we'll have that hopefully running smoothly, and some stuff going on Instagram as well. So you can also get in touch with us at Instagram. I don't know what our stuff is over there, because I have to figure out how to use it.
Yeah,
Sam set that one up.
I did, and I just added Invasion of the Remake.
There you go.
Yeah.
Find us, add us. We are over there on Instagram as well. Holy crap. That's a lot of social media.
Yeah. We'll have to figure out what we can put on Instagram.
Yes.
Oh, I've got some ideas. So by the time you hear this, some of them will have already probably shown up.
Nice.
And, of course, you can help out the show by spreading the word. If you're listening to the episodes and loving the show, please tell your friends and family about the show and how to find us, and make sure your friends subscribe. As if you haven't, please subscribe as well. That always helps us out. You'll never miss an episode by subscribing. We're in a ton of different platforms. We're all over the interwebs and all of those podcast providers, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Player FM, TuneIn Radio, Blueberry, Spreaker, and even frickin' YouTube. So spread the word, help other people find the show, and if you happen to find yourself on Apple Podcasts /iTunes, please drop us a 5-star rating and a short review. That'll also help people get more
earballs
on the show. Do us that solid. Thanks, man.
Yes.
Thanks. You cool that way. You be cool that way.
The devil would love you too.
That's right.
But we won't sell our souls for it.
No, let's not. Yeah.
Not for 5 stars.
Not for 5 stars.
That's the Big Mac and Coke. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, so if you see us on our social media, retweet us, repost us, and please interact with us, and because we're the ones talking to you directly, so we will interact with you and hopefully have a nice conversation.
And again, fan challenges too.
Yeah, we're open to some new fan challenges. New year, some new fan challenges await us, I hope.
We do have one sitting in the wings. There was a challenge on, was it Facebook or Twitter, one of the two, that we need to look at, I think.
Oh, I know what that one is. Neil already got his. He already got one. So you don't get 2.
Unless we get some more in there.
Unless I really like it. There were some suggestions he's given me last year that I think will be just get put in rotation at some point, because there were some good suggestions.
Nice.
Yeah, no, and the suggestions are good. We have hit dry spells where we have trouble thinking what we want to do, so it's always nice to have somebody else's input. I don't know that we should say absolutely no to Neil, but...
no.
Yeah, but definitely...
You only get one official fan challenge, but we will probably address a lot of some of those suggestions, and maybe not all of them, but some of those suggestions down the road, because they were good. They were good.
Nice.
But you only get one official fan challenge.
Okay, that's a new rule.
I don't have new rule. I could change it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's my show. I can do whatever.
We're just trying to be more fair. Otherwise, we get challenge.
I am the devil of the show. I will change my mind at any given moment.
So they could have 7 challenges?
Please, no.
Well, it's just the 7 just sounds right. I know that's what they say in the movies.
And the first 6 are cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Or raspberry ice lollies.
That's right.
Nice. Which melt when you transport.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I think this wish fulfillment is over. And the only way to leave a wish fulfillment is...
I can't do that. I can't blow raspberries.
Oh no, you're stuck.
Serious?
Yeah.
Well, you could die. Nobody uses pagers anymore.
You're going to end up in a terrible wish.
Apparently, yeah. No, I tried to do it there. I'm like, no, I still can't do it.
You're the fly on the wall.
I am literally the fly on the wall.
Or the nun.
Well, if it's your first wish and we're doing it like couched in now time, if you were able to like get online somehow, find that sound effect, do you have to do the raspberry or can you just play it on your phone? That's I don't know.
Well, I don't know. He can find the loophole.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, nope.
No.
Okay, well, until
I'm so much out at you all.
Until Sam finds a raspberry or a pager from the devil, I've been Jason.
I am always Sam.
I continue to be Trish.
And we are out of here.
It's true! You really are the devil!
Oh, come on, baby. Come and sit down. I know this has all been horribly overwhelming for you.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure you can. You can ask me anything you like, as long as you don't ask me if there's a god. I get that one all the time. It drives me absolutely bonkers. Yes, there's a god.
Really? Well, what's he like?
You know, you'd think that meeting the devil would be interesting enough, but no. All people want to know about is him. Like he's so bloody fascinating.
So he's a man?
Yeah. Most men think they're God. This one just happens to be right.